talented comedians in this part of the country, if not beyond. He is having a fantastic breakout year. Make some noise for Patrick Ledwell.
My name is Patrick Ledwell, and I like to think of myself as a communicator. Sometimes I'm communicating through storytelling or writing for radio, and other times I'm communicating through digital technology, whether web technology or video technology. What I try to do for a living is to wrap more foil around an original creative idea. And I think when it comes to writing humor, that's what I'm constantly doing. Maybe it's something that I hear in conversation. Maybe it's that I'm starting to take a yoga class.
So here I sit waiting for our first yoga class to start, in a bogus half lotus. My hips artificially jacked into position by little foam pillows.
The marriage is great to be relieved of ever having to make any other decision again. Get that clear?
I think what gives most energy to that onstage performance is that moment of recognition that you can forge with the audience. I think to tell a story, you have to have some kind of handshake with the audience.
It is great. I just get the schedule delivered to me. I just sit in the car, do my seatbelt, and say, where are we going?
I really like that moment where you realize that you've got people to a place that they recognize, and then you can surprise or delight or even sometimes say something that might even shock. Like this week, I actually went to Sackville one night with a friend of mine to do stand-up at Mount A for almost no money, but I knew where I was going. I was testing something out for something I'm going to do in a week, and I wanted to know that it works, and I needed to do that in a live environment, and I didn't get enough this week from that to say that that's part of my living, but I know that I'm growing that. So meanwhile, in the week as well, I am doing some digital work, some creative work that is on the creativity spectrum, not as fully creative as that, but it's my butter. And I don't resent it. I want to have enough of that work that gives me crawl spaces to continue to grow things. You got to know where the butter is, or the fridge just doesn't look very good. And I have the software, and I have the equipment, and I use that and claim it as part of my overall expenses, my overall living. One new mode of performance that I've started to do comedically is using digital graphics and almost like a slideshow behind me that amplifies and lends a visual aspect to the jokes.
It's a beautiful shape. Upsweeps and arcs comparable to many shapes in nature.
That's creative and uses the same Photoshop and digital editing skills I sometimes use to make interfaces for websites. One phrase that always comes into mind is, ship it. There's new opportunities to, if you think something's funny, record it as a podcast on your computer and share it with some friends. Find some means to get it into people's ears, and you'll be experiencing not only growth, but you'll learn a lot about your pieces, and you'll get the satisfaction to continue. So hiding it under a wash tub, I wouldn't do it, especially for live performance. I'd look for chances to ship it. There's a lot of emerging younger artist communities where there's not as much of a boundary between visual art and writing and comedy. So new spaces like the Muse Art Space, where you can participate in an art show that will also have live readings. Dynamic groups of artists like This Town is Small, where there's a gallery reading where someone writes a poem and then there's a painting that originally inspired the poem hanging right by it. I am a business person. Sometimes that feels strange when I'm at the Chamber of Commerce and people say, oh, I thought you did comedy. I didn't know you did anything that would resemble a business. But I do see it as part of all of the same swim. Even doing GST, even keeping receipts. These are all things that I don't see as detracting from being able to run a show. I see them as necessary creative aspects, things that I need to figure out so that I can keep going over 5 years to keep building something that doesn't necessarily always work in a highly planned way.
I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was flailing around for a direction, and a lot of my flailing landed in the guidance counselor's office for career advice.